Okay, continuing with the fuselage. Now I just need to focus on the final cross-section, being cross-section AA. So I'm just going to grab this, move it over, just in the X direction so it doesn't have any wobble to it. And what you'll instantly notice is that what I've got is far too wide. So I'm just trying to see, that looks about centre. So it follows the lines, selecting my mesh, going to go into edit mode and actually have a look at everything. So I'm going to go Alt-H to unhide it. And then I'm going to deselect everything, and I can try and select everything, but because of this curve, it's going to be easy to use C, the circle brush, to select the individual vertices. That's pretty good. Left click to select, middle click to unselect, and then right click to confirm, and I'm going to hide all those. So I can just focus on these individual ones. That one's almost hit the corner, so that looks like a great place to start to pull that into where I need it. And I'll just reposition that there. In fact, all of these is scale, Z direction, 0. And then put them where I need them, which would be about there. Now this lot down the side here, just going to pull that in a little bit, and that almost works perfectly. Then I need to fix up the top. That's almost a straight section, so I'm just going to put that there, and then this lot, scale, Z direction, 0, and then grab it and just slide it up. And there you can see, in the time that it took me to do the square, which I was still stuffing around with and it was looking fairly horrible, I've managed to get this much pretty much done. So if we then Alt-H to unhide everything and switch back to that, I've pretty much got a decent fuselage going on right there. If I go to my side view, I'm actually pretty happy with that. Still need some tidying up, of course, so I'll grab this back section, and the lines aren't exactly straight, so I want to actually, what I really want to do is pull these lines down a little bit. So scale Z direction just to space them out, and then grab Z direction to pull them down. Because that entire side is actually pretty straight. So what I want is I want to change the flow of the side of the vehicle. So if I switch to a solid view, yeah, that's better. You can see how the lines are more straighter. So just making sure I'm locked into Z direction just to readjust these. And this is where you end up spending a lot of your time, is tweaking individual vertices to go, yeah, does that look good? And I'm actually, yeah, I'm happy with that. So, and the reason I did it this way is to give you guys two examples. One where I went off in the wrong direction, it was getting difficult and harder. And the other, which is this, is actually to take it in an easier direction to refine the vehicle. So here, you can see the line of the vehicle's sort of there, and up here, so I can just scale that in until it hits about the right point. So at this stage, it's looking actually pretty good as an aircraft. Looking for above, obviously too wide. So I need to then bring that in. So simply scale in the X direction just to shrink it a bit. You notice a bit of distortion there, so I'll just grab it again in the X direction to pull it all in. And here we're starting to get the actual shape of the aircraft. Now this tail section will need to be resolved and tidied up, but we'll get back to that in just a second. The other part is that we need to do with is the front bit. So it's got this sort of machine gun housing through here, and I don't know how that is actually done, and I'd have to then go to my reference photos to actually have a really good clean look at it. But we'll worry about that in just a second. Then so for this I'm just going to extrude at the front so I can get the thing mostly done. I'm going to guess that the top of that is actually back a bit. So I'm just going to grab, just pull it back to about that point, I think, and I'll create some sort of hole in there. So yeah, so out of that. So you can see the structure of the aircraft is actually coming along quite nicely. Some bits overlap, but that's always going to happen unless you are really clean with your topology. And guess what? I'm not. So this last little tail section you can see here, we've got some vertices that have hit this this point in here where they've started to lock together for some reason. So we need to either rip. I should be able to just grab and pull them out, but oh dear, I'm going to undo what I've done. Okay. So if I just grab that X direction, just pull it in, so it's about there. What I need to do is, so here I've already scaled it vertically, but horizontally I'm still too wide. I need to pull it up. That might be okay, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell with the quality of these graphics. But if I just, I need to scale to this crosshair and it's in the wrong place. There's two ways to force it to snap to where I need. One is to press Shift S, which gives me all these snapping options. If I snap it to the world origin, that's right in the center. If my image is sitting there, that's great. So not image, but model. If it's not there, if you go out into object mode, every mesh that you have has this little orange dot in the center of it that relates to its position in 3D space, and that's just simply noting and recording. So you can see there, and there should be another one on this somewhere, except I can't see it. Oh yeah, there. So that's where they snap to in that space. Now because I set this model up on the world origin, I can even just Shift S to snap my cursor to selected. And what this will do is it'll snap it to the center of this object, which is how I set this up. If you want to snap it to an individual vertices, when you're in edit mode, of course, you can just go snap to selected, and it'll lock into whatever you selected, be it one vertex, a dozen vertices, or whatever. So, same trick as I did before. I'm going to switch into pivot point being the 3D cursor, so that as I scale, just in the X direction, to narrow this down, you can actually get this kind of nicely happening. So, scale X, just bring it a little further. So the tail of the aircraft is really starting to narrow down, and I can then just cap that off in some way by pressing the F key to add a face. And then switching out of edit mode, that's pretty much done. Now, to get that bit fixed, I had to undo what I'd done at the front, so I will just quickly go do that again. So, make sure I have the selection box, grab that stuff, E to extrude, move it forward in a sort of straight fashion, then grab these top vertices and pull those back to make machine gun housing. There may be something scooped out of here, I'm not exactly certain, but we'll work it out as we go along. And then this final piece down the bottom, I might change my pivot point back to the median, scale X direction just to pull those two together before moving them straight up, because there's a little bit of a bend in there. And that's the rough shape of my vehicle at the moment. Now, the other thing I need to do is add in this front nose cone, which appears to be a different material. It's a fairly straight shape, so I'm going to hide my cross section, re-enable my front view, and drop my cross section out of the way, because I've done modelling the fuselage. I'm just trying to do this nose cone now. And I'm going to switch out of this. I'm just going to add a completely new object. I'm going to set my snap to the world cursor, so it's dead center, and then add probably, do I add a donut? Because if you look at the images, what we've got here is something that looks like a donut. It's got a hole in the middle, it's got a curved outer edge, but it's only got half a circle curve here, so probably best to do it in above view. And yeah, I think donut may actually be the best choice. Could try circle and making it complex. You could try UV sphere and making it more appropriately complex. With the donut, you've got major segments, minor segments. I should talk about this just for a little bit. So if you watch the circle here, as I increase the major segments, you'll see the number of divisions increase. For us, I think 36 will be fine. Minor segments is the complexity of the surface, so I think it was 12, so we'll just stick with that. And then of course got the positioning, rotation, scaling of every piece. So the major radius is how big it is, and that was at 1 meter. The minor radius is how big the actual inside of the donut is. And as you notice, I squidged that back and forth. The outer radius gets also expands because it's two sides of the same thing. But we'll just select this object and position it. Oh wait a minute, I've just added it to this bit. So for some reason I can't seem to edit any of my reference stuff, but I can edit anything in my top collection. It may have been when I brought it over from the previous setup, but that's okay. So first up, with this donut I'm going to rotate in a direction. I don't want to go that way, I want to rotate around the red line, which is the x-axis, and I want it to be 90 degrees, so it's straight up and down. Then just going to grab it in the y so it slides straight down, and then scale so it basically should fit. So what you'll notice here is that of this donut I only really want a quarter of it. But I'll get to which quarter in just a second. Oh, that's almost perfect. Grab X direction, slide up so it sits there. The inside's good, the outside's good, it's in position. The only hassle is that from above, it's just not the right shape. So going into edit mode, I'm now going to start hacking it about. So this back edge, I'm just going to delete. The inner edge here, I'm just going to extrude pretty much straight back, which I think, remember, was the Y direction. And that's the surface. It's basically a donut. So if we go into solid mode, and I've got to now find a way of connecting these two sets of lines, which I will get to in time. So here you can see slice by slice is becoming more like an aircraft. Alright, so I'm going to stop that there and we'll continue this in a little while.